Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first RT Talks of 2026. We're kicking off the year strong with an awesome conversation about setting creative goals, setting budgets, and how you can combine those things to, achieve your TTRPG objectives and goals. I'm really happy and excited today to be joined by a creative in the space who has done all kinds of fantastic work in the TTRPG space. He is a game designer, playtester. He works as an instructor for the Storytelling Collective, among many other things. Please welcome Mike Myler to the RT Talks. Hype him up in the chat. And Mike, welcome. Really happy to have you.
Mike Myler, but yes, thank you very much for having me.
Myler, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's all right, man. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here and talk about it. I've done budgeting for stuff from like as small as like one of my courses for Storytelling Collective is for building a campaign setting primer, and then the next one is like building a whole book. And in the advanced course, like I did that, and I was like, how little can I spend to do it? So I've been there, and then also like I did the budgeting for Level Up Advanced Fifth Edition, and that was I'm not gonna say exactly how much the budget was, but it was much more. It was more than I usually make in a year, certainly. Yeah, I've run the gamut.
Awesome.
Not quite Monte Cook budgets, but I know how much the layout guy got paid, which was $21 a page, which is
Nice.
Oh man, if I could get $21 a page, oh my god. That's why those books look so good, guys. It's because Monte gets money.
When they put the money in, you get the results for
Hey,
sure.
what'd you get for?
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. So as always, we're going to kind of divide today's conversation into three parts. We'll start with some foundational stuff. Then we'll jump into some of those goal setting questions and conversations surrounding that. And then we'll have a couple minutes near the end to talk about budgets and how, your experience setting budgets, using budgets and things like this. Of course, as always, we're going to reserve the last 15 minutes or so of our conversation to live questions from the audience. So if folks who are here think of questions that they want to ask Mike, please post them in the appropriate thread, talking creative goals, budgets, and you. There's already two awesome questions there. If you think of other ones, or if new folks have their own questions that they want to add, please do that. I'm also going to kind of base the timing of the rest of the conversation on how many questions are there. So if there's only those two, by the end, I'm going to just keep asking my own invented questions and then save 5 minutes for those questions. As opposed to if you fill that up, I'll kind of teeter back and forth the pacing of tonight's conversation to make sure we have as much time as we can for Mike to answer your questions. Mike, are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, I guess the first softball question that I'll throw your way is, can you talk a little bit more to us about your experience working in the TTRPG space and how that kind of has allowed you to develop this strategy, I suppose, in setting creative goals for yourself?
Sure. Over a decade ago, I had like a bad work experience with my last employer, and I was collecting my unemployment, and my now wife was like, "Hey, you spend so much time like working on this like campaign you play with your friends. Like, see if somebody will pay you to do that." And that's where I started, and it quickly became an obsession, and then that's all I do now, and has been all I do for the last decade. And then I'm an editor for the E-Insider magazine too, and do a lot of stuff for E-In Publishing. But for setting creative goals, the first way I started was, you get your first couple of pitches in, right? And you do a couple of articles or adventures for people, and you get your confidence up, right? I wasn't ready to just jump in and be like, oh yeah, people run a Kickstarter. And also Kickstarter was very new when I started. I think it might have been 2 years old when I did my first Kickstarter. And then to publish it, I got a partner. He was a very awesome guy. His name's Owen Casey Stevens. He runs Rogue Genius Games. He's worked for Wizards of the Coast and Paizo and Green Ronin as like staff employee. He's a very awesome guy, and he's probably touched most of the RPGs you played in one way or another if they came from a major publisher. And so that was really important. And he like licensed Franthia Codex to put out. Back then, I was just doing perspective budget. So like, give me money so we can buy artwork and write the book and pay people to edit it and do the layout and all that stuff. but I got some people to agree to work ahead of time. So we had some like preview PDFs to show off, like different characters from areas in the world, just to like generate buzz, and have something to show on the Kickstarter page, which at that point was a novel thing to do. And then once the money came in, everybody got paid and we got the full work done and everything. And also, we didn't do. I was afraid to do like a big offset print run because that is a whole mess of stuff. You have to pay for warehousing. You have to pay for it to get shipped. You have to wait for it to go through customs because they decided to check that box. And a lot of
Mhm.
stuff can happen along the way where it gets messed up, and I just wasn't interested in that. And I did at cost print vouchers. So instead of like people ordering a book directly from me, basically they ordered a coupon because we didn't know how big the book was going to be at that point. I wasn't like savvy enough to do pagination, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So it ended up being, I think, like 400 pages. And if I had taken orders for that and planned on a 200-page book, I would have been in the hole really, really deep.
Mhm.
But instead, we had these coupons, so people just paid I think at that point it was a long time ago, so maybe just $16 plus shipping, and got it from drive through at cost. And then
Very cool.
yeah. Yeah, the next project I did was Hypercore 2099, and we did pagination for that. Pagination is a process where you sit down and you plan out each spread of the book. You put like what artwork you want to put there, what content is going to be there, whether it's facing left or facing right. It's a level of minutia that most places don't bother with anymore, but it is part of the budgeting process because it tells you like, okay, well, we know we want to have art on this in this book like every other page, right? Because just as a mnemonic device or for theme or whatever reasons, you decided your art schedule is that 0.25, I guess that would be. So then, you need to buy this much art, and there you go, because you've done your pagination, you know how much space the art's going to take up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We did all that for Hypercore, took money for books ahead of time, and then they changed the printing costs on me. So I went into the whole, I think like $700 or something. It sucked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you really have a lot of varied experiences as it were,
Yeah.
kind of in the publishing space and the design space and kind of in this project, eh, the creation of projects.
Oh, and I was supposed to talk about creative goals, and I went into budgets. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
It's okay. No, yeah, no worries, no worries. I was kind of gonna segue us into that though. So as far as creative goals go, I think it can be a pretty deep well of what a creative goal can be and what the outcome of that goal could be, especially, when we're talking to a community like this one where we have artists and layout artists and designers and streamers and podcasters and all kinds of folks in the creative space. To you, what is a creative goal? What does that mean when we say, setting a creative goal?
Okay, so like if you're like house staff at WotC or Paizo or one of these other TPG or RG companies, my understanding is the minimum for editing a day is like 5,000 words. Or it might have been 10,000 words, and then writing is supposed to be five or something like that. But there are like in-house quotas
Hmm.
where like if we're in the development phase, like you're expected to hit that every day on whatever, assignments you've got. So if you're doing writing and design, that's what it is. It's a word count. You decide what the word count is going to be, but it is a good idea to write every single day. It's a skill, just like shooting a basketball. And if you stop shooting hoops, you're going to suck next time you hit the court. It's the same thing with writing.
Mhm.
So, like, even a small creative goal of 500 words a day or 200 words a day is important just to, like, keep your skill level high. If you're doing crunch, like if you're an editor or you're doing layout, you should have a number of pages that you want every day, just so you're making good use of your time. If you're only able to do like 5 pages in 5 hours, like that's rough, man. Like, how big of a book are you gonna make? How many months is it gonna take you to get there? Yeah, just you have to figure out your own pace and set something reasonable and build up to it. It's not quite the same as like running, but you still don't want to like set yourself up to do a 5K every single or a 10K or whatever every single day and like fail because it's gonna dispirit you. You're not gonna want to do it. It's gonna be a bad time. So build up to 1,000 words a day if you're not confident yet.
Yeah, I really like that because it kind of gives you like this very clear threshold of like, if I meet this or surpass it, I've done a good job. Or if
Yep.
I don't meet it, I mean, obviously there are things that happen, but in the context of having something very clear and concise as what your objective is, I think that can almost translate into other spaces too, right? If you're an artist drawing things, making. I mean, obviously you can't say draw 50 things in a day,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say like, how do we? I don't know. You artists, I thank you, illustrators. Keep doing what you're doing. We
yeah,
love
yeah.
you.
But I think this can translate to a certain degree. Like try to think of a very concise and concrete objective that you can meet, kind of at the micro level to achieve your broader picture. Flipping this question on its head, would you say that there are mistakes or misconceptions that people might have when they think about setting goals for themselves?
Yeah, I think that it's easier to be overconfident and ambitious, and think that you're doing yourself a favor with that. Like, I will reach further, so I will grasp further, but like that's not always going to be the case.
Hmm.
And it is much better to walk your way up to it. That's how humans work. I don't know why it would work differently than your body does. And like I said, don't start doing 10Ks out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. Going too big too fast can also discourage you, I would imagine. Like if you fail to meet your objective, then unless there's somebody holding you accountable to it, you can kind of find yourself in a vicious circle.
Accountability buddy. I haven't had an accountability buddy, but I do have friends who go with that. And yeah, it works for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't speak for everybody in the community here, but I do think that there's quite a few folks who are new or breaking in to the TTRPG space. And I can only speak for myself, but a lot of the time when I have a creative idea, that kind of translate into a rather big idea. Like it tends to grow very quickly. And then it becomes difficult to take that idea and actually transform it into kind of these clear actionable goals. Do you have any advice for folks who might be kind of experiencing that, like taking this concept or idea for a project or a game or piece of art that's still in this conceptual phase?
Yeah, if you're especially if you're just getting started, like think of ways where you can break it down into pieces. Like so instead of doing your whole world campaign setting or even a whole continent of your campaign setting, just do like one country or even like one part of that country.
Mm,
And that doesn't mean you need to do every single county, but like it in the process of doing that country and then maybe the next country and a couple more countries, you're going to refine your process. You're going to figure out stuff that you just weren't thinking about before, and it's going to be the same way whether you're doing layout or probably illustration and everything. Like, so starting small with a plan to replicate and refine your process would be my suggestion. Little bites. Even my first couple things were like an NPC and a little thing of magic items, and then I
mm.
started landing pitches and stuff and got my feet beneath me and got the confidence to write and think my ideas were worth money and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. I think that's really solid advice.
And also after Varanthia was like a 400 plus page book, Hypercore was 200 pages, and that was a very conscious decision because like the bigger the project, the more time it takes to do everything. It's like pushing a boulder versus a bale of hay.
Mm,
Bigger it gets, the harder everything gets. Definitely start small.
yeah. No, I think that's really solid advice. And then as far as these bigger projects, I feel like they certainly come, not always, but in most cases come with a bigger project team. How does the team that you're working with impact the kind of goals that you might set for yourself?
There's always some gears that work better in a machine than other gears, and you end up spending more time on those gears that don't work so good. That is one thing I want to mention that will be relative to budgeting, but like you have to plan on some, what do they call it in retail? But like they just know people are going to steal stuff, stuff is going to get broken, and they just X off so many dollars a
Oh,
month.
yes, yes. I can't remember what that's called either, but
Yeah, yeah. My wife's complaining about it all the time because she
or
runs an
like kind of just
election.
like slack in a project timeline,
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of, I
Give yourself
suppose.
slack in a
Yeah.
timeline. Give yourself slack in a budget. There's going to be stuff that you don't know is going to be a problem, that's going to come up, and especially if you're doing a bigger thing in terms of budgeting your time. The more people are involved, the more pages there are, the more time you're going to spend doing administration. You're just going to be doing
Mm.
emails. You're just going to be running Discord chats. You're just going to be not actually doing the work, but all the work that surrounds the work. You know?
Yeah. Does that kind of fall into these objectives too? Like, do you set objectives for this kind of like administrative burden, or is that's just like the stuff that gets like the necessary evil for the fun stuff?
Yeah, well, this is a bigger discussion that's going to be more predicated
I
towards like the
suppose.
writers and designers. But like, there's a great video by John Cleese in like I think the 1980s, some German television thing. Anyway, he goes and he talks about the creative mode and the open mode, or the closed mode and the open mode. The closed mode is what we're in most of the time. You're taking a bus, you're filling out taxes, whatever. That's the closed mode. The open mode is where you're playing. It's more like when you were a kid and like discovering stuff, and that's where you get the really good stuff. So like Monty Python would screw around for like 2 or 3 hours before any of them wrote anything funny at all. And
Mm.
that's just how they transition. And I'm that way. So I need like a 4 or 6 hour chunk of time to be properly creative and do stuff well. So most of my editing and administrative stuff is when I know I'm only gonna have an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. Like I slot away those chunks of time for work for all the admin tasks and all the non-creative stuff. Because yeah, I need time to settle in
Yeah.
and click the right switches up here.
Yeah, I think that's really, really insightful actually. And it kind of resonates a lot with me too, because you can't just expect the creative juices to to strike in that 30-minute window between a meeting and a
Exactly.
and an appointment. So I think that's got to kind of find its way into setting your goals, right? You set your goals based on the way that you
Oh
work.
yeah, you still got to answer emails by a certain time, and you
Yeah.
know people need to hear to from you to continue the grinding of the machine. Um, so you can't just like pop out. But yeah, some stuff gets relegated to like, oh yeah, no, that's gonna be like 20 minutes to figure out and stuff. I'll do that next week.
Yes,
Falls in the back of the inbox for a while.
absolutely. And I mean, kind of speaking to creativity and this kind of more playful space in the work that we can do, I'd be curious to know, and I mean, maybe this has nothing to do with setting goals, so forgive me if it doesn't, but how does setting goals and creativity kind of like how do you strike that balance? Because to me, goal setting is more of a like measurable, quantifiable thing, and when I think of creative processes and or at least when I get into kind of a more creative flow, I'm not I'm not
Yeah.
in the same headspace. So how do you strike that balance, Mike?
For projects, plan and organize and segment your stuff, right? One
Mm.
document for the whole book is nice when you go to layout, but it doesn't need to be that way the whole time, and it really shouldn't be. You should have a document for this chapter and that chapter and that chapter and that chapter, and then you just put them all together at the end. So then you're just tackling this chapter on this day and this chapter on the next day. Yeah, segment your stuff. Even if it's a not a small project, even if it is a small project, I'm sorry. You should be segmenting your stuff out, and then building a manuscript at the very end. Yeah, I also I do everything on in Google Drive because Google Documents is super convenient. But I keep kind of percentile in my folder names, not in the document names. I might have a word count up in the document name so I know like, oh, Mike, you only have 3,500 words in here. Like, stop. Hit the word count button, check. But in
Mm.
the folder names, I put like a 99% or 90% done or whatever, and that's a good way for just everybody who's like opening it and checking around. Like, oh, okay, so we got this far. Like, okay, maybe in a month, Mike will have the PDF done or something like that. And it's encouraging because once you start pushing it up and getting further and further, it's like less stress on your back
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you know like the end is near, the next project is coming, like accomplishment.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm sure it kind of helps you too to kind of keep track of how much you've progressed within a specific project or file or whatnot. So that's cool. I'm looking at the clock. We still have about 35 minutes, but there's quite a few questions in the Q&A section. Why don't we move on then to talking about budgets a little bit? I think kind of setting goals for a project kind of ties into budgets, right? Because specific goals might require a certain amount of moolah to achieve, or at the very least, conceptualize. So let's talk a little bit about budgets. I know they can be kind of intimidating to, to folks who've never set one, or even people who have used budgets for other contexts. But anyway, I guess we'll start off by in the simplest terms possible. What's a budget to you, and what does it kind of look like? How does it work? How does it run? Just very like surface level stuff, and then we can maybe dive into the specifics that you feel the most comfortable talking about, Mike.
A budget is usually a spreadsheet where you track how much you're paying everybody for everything, and it also ends up being a little bit like pagination because you need to know like how many words or how many illustrations or whatever somebody is being paid for, and it appears in the sheet. So like you can kind of merge
Hmm.
the two together a little bit. But yeah, it's where you track all the financials for your project.
And insofar as like breaking down some of those costs, how have you or other people that you know gone about estimating some of these things?
Oh,
For folks who might be starting their first project who have no idea what
yeah.
an artist might cost or a layout, a layout artist might cost or things like this. Like,
Yeah, so it's good to make one of those little segmented things, right? Because A, you can use it for marketing
mhm.
promotional purposes later, but also you can use it just as like an in-house tool for making projections. So, for instance, depending on the type of font you're using and the like peculiarities of the system, depending on like what you're making, because like some use different fonts, like Pathfinder and Level Up use non-serif fonts like Arial for character statistics, and then anything else gets something with serifs on it, like Times New Roman, right? You make yourself a little test document, your little promo primer, whatever, and you know how many words a page you're going to be on average you're going to be able to fit. It might be 500 words a page, it might be 600 words a page. In some rare circumstances, maybe it's 800 or 200 a page. But it will give you an idea like, okay, so if we're planning on making a book that's going to be this many pages or this many words, you know how far it's going to go. And then for the art schedule, I mean, it's about you gotta strike your deals. You gotta figure out what you're gonna pay everybody, right? So if you know you're gonna be paying 10 cents a word and you're buying 10,000 words from people, what is that, like $1,000? And then you need to pay
Mhm.
for editing. You gotta figure out your rate with that, come to an agreement, work that into your budget, and then for artists, same deal. Figure out the rates, figure out how much detail and all that stuff, and yeah, just plug it all together, really.
That makes a whole lot of sense. And one piece of advice that I might give folks. I mean, I'm still a fledgling in all of this, but as far as go about it, you're not going to know until you ask people what their rates are. So don't be afraid to reach out to people, and don't be afraid to say, "Hey, I've got this project. This is kind of what I'm thinking." And have that conversation because it's going to help you understand what the cost of your project might be. And then, like you were saying, Mike, it helps you kind of project onward in the next project if it's bigger and smaller,
And
whatever.
all your contracts don't have to be, I give you this money and then I own this thing all 100%. It doesn't have to be that way. All I think of the arts illustrations that I've ordered, I've allowed people to like keep the use of the image for selling like art prints and your tables at conventions and stuff. And if you want to make a shirt, go crazy,
Hmm.
indie, like have fun. I only need it for this purpose, and like they retain rights for it that they can use later and make money off of. And E-Insider, everything we like write, people write for us, it's like a year-long exclusive license that we're paying for. So you end up owning like the thing, and everything I've ever written for E-Insider has worked its way into one of my books. So like, don't think of contracts as the way they worked in 1800. It is the
Mm.
future, and you have more options than just simply complete control of copyright of whatever it is.
Yeah, very good advice. Is there maybe certain things that in your experience cost like less or more than what you thought?
Well, like I said, print costs can change on you. I
Yeah.
think they've changed twice in the past year, actually. They'll probably change again,
Hmm.
and they're always going up. They never change favorably. That does not happen. So yeah, watch out for print costs, y'all. Otherwise, I mean, usually the most expensive thing in any project is the art budget, because they do the magic we cannot do. So yeah, be ready for that, guys. And also, there's a lot of really awesome stock art out there. You have to be really careful now with like Shutterstock and all those like really mega big like stock photo companies, because a lot of that stuff is
Yeah.
AI generated, and yeah, it's been that way for like 2 years. But Drive-Thru's got a people are putting out awesome artwork on there all the time, and you will be surprised by something. I needed a like 17th century noble person that was like half robot, and like lo and behold, Jacob Blackman, Drive-Thru RPG. I think it was like $6 to license it,
Oh, super cool.
right? Like it's like, damn,
Yeah.
dude.
It doesn't always. I feel like it doesn't always hit exactly the nail on the head, but when you find
No,
it,
it does not always do it. Yeah, it's really nice.
that's awesome. And for people who might be starting off a project, who might be going at this for the first or second time, and who kind of want to prioritize certain parts of their budget, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if I have the answer already. Is art the thing to prioritize, or are there specific things that you think that
It depends on the
if you
project.
had to spend most of your money, yeah, yeah.
If you're doing like a old school essentials OSR thing, artwork is not super important to them, and they might enjoy something that you doodle yourself more than like a super expensive illustration.
Hmm.
A lot of like HIO, like TTRPG jams, the vibe there is not to spend $1,000 on art. That's just not what everyone's trying to do. So just pay attention to like what you're doing and who your ideal like customers are. Who do you want to appeal to? Usually you want to appeal to people who enjoy good artwork that ties in very strongly with the concepts presented. But not always. The TTRPG space is big, gets bigger all the time. Usually though, art is where you will be pouring most of your money. Yeah, in my experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think, but you're perfectly right about, depends on kind of the tone you're setting, the kind of thing you're creating. If it's your first project and you're participating in like a game jam or a design month that just, I think it was February, design month just ended. So things like this might, you might be okay to kind of just do some scribbles or placeholder stuff while you get the idea going, and then maybe after that you go to crowdfunding for artwork money or stuff like that. I don't know if.
Oh, I'm Marge with the dress too, man. So like all the illustrations that I've got, like almost all of them have gotten reworked into other stuff. The
Mm,
last book that I put out, I got one. Here we go. Boom. This is all artwork that I already like owned.
nice.
And I just like put it together on a nice little like bouncy board thing and like the whole book. I don't think I got any new art for it. All of my money actually went into developers. So I think, my fellow like designers and writers and stuff. But that's a rarity. Usually it's all always like but yeah, be smart with your art too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I suppose we can't not talk about crowdfunding and stuff. Is that something that you have experience in, Mike, and
Yes.
kind of how budgeting and crowdfunding kind of sometimes do this marriage between one another?
Yeah, I have 18 successful projects now that were like mine. So, first of all, make sure you're seen to be participating in the community. Like pledge to projects to show that you are part of BackerKit or Kickstarter's community, and don't just like roll in with none. I don't understand people who do that. It's very strange to me. Yeah, support the network and people that you're with. Yeah, so Varanthia Codex to avoid a lot of costs. Like I said, I did the coupon thing. That's a totally viable option. It is a little bit harder
Hmm.
of a sale because you've got to explain this extra process that they're going to go to and that there's cost down the line. And some people just don't like that. They want instant gratification. So when possible, if you want like the maximum results, you want to come to Kickstarter or whatever crowdfunding you're doing, like with a finished product. It doesn't need to be all of the finished product. Maybe you got other stuff you're going to do that you're getting funding for, and that's part of it. But like people want stuff, be prepared to give them stuff, and you will be treated accordingly. For the part of Kickstarter and BackerKit and all that stuff, they take usually I budget 5% that I'm going to lose to them and Visa and stuff and all those cards and the platform itself. So like I
Hmm.
will get 95% of whatever the total is coming into my bank account for buying books and stuff or buying illustrations if I'm doing it on Prospect. Yeah, and my other thing would be like be ready to spend some money. If you want to like make money, you gotta spend money.
Yeah.
So you don't have to blow the bank, but like order a couple custom illustrations. Make a little, pamphlet or whatever to show that you're competent, instill confidence in the people that you want to support you, and you will get better results. So yeah, be ready to spend a little bit and do a little work ahead of time to get better results.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it's good to be told and to hear that, right? Like you can't just go into a project and say, "Well, I've got no budget." You gotta
I
you gotta
I
invest in the project. You have to be the first investor of the project, basically.
Yeah,
I
I did that with Varanthia, but it was like a hard sell for everybody, and it would have just been better if I had saved, $300 to spread around, even just like a token.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. All right, so for the last 20 minutes or so, why don't we jump into some of the live questions from the audience? And for folks who are listening who might have thought of other questions in the meantime, you're welcome to continue to add questions there. We'll start with the one that came yesterday afternoon from Chromelet. Chromelet asks, when should one consider turning to crowdfunding for a budget? There you go. We kind of already talked a little bit about it. Would you recommend it for a first-time paid project?
Awesome name, Chromelight. Yeah, I would recommend it for a first-time paid project, provided that you have a. So like now, there's tools where you'll know ahead of time, like there's 100 people following this project. So like I can
Mhm.
expect 10 people to pledge in the first day or whatever. So with the way crowdfunding works now, and you can set up like pre-launch pages, and there's a lot of like preamble you can do before the actual launch that is very effective. I would recommend it. Although, as we've discussed, definitely make some kind of small treatment to show off, instill confidence, get everybody on the same page on the project. It's super useful for that too, right? Just
Uh-huh.
figuring out your trade dressing and what it's going to look like, so everyone's like coming in with their cowboy hats on and not their cyberpunk, helmets or whatever the heck. And starts with something small for yourself, the team, and all the people you want to convince to pledge to your crowdfunding project.
Awesome. Our next question comes from K Chase Trammell. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. They ask a question saying, "How do you set ambitious goals without getting overwhelmed?" That speaks to me. I mean, you talked a little bit about it already, right? With these compartmentalizing.
Yeah, I'm thinking like what I do in my head when I go for it. I listen to the most pragmatic, doubtful part of myself, and that's the initial goal. And then after I
Mm,
know I'm hitting the initial goal and I keep hitting the initial goal, then I will start to let the not pessimist out, and they can make decisions. But to get like the path started, really think small. And you can get bigger faster. But it's feels worse to go from bigger to smaller than it does going smaller to bigger. So baby steps.
yeah, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think too, like, I mean, I don't have that much experience setting goals in the TTRPG space, but in my day job, constantly kind of managing these massive projects. And I feel like you can get granular with the things that are right in front of you. And please correct me, Mike, if it's not maybe relevant in the TTRPG space, but you can kind of get granular with the things that are immediate. And then the more nebulous, like, do this thing, even if there's 15 pieces to that thing, that goal is for later, and you've kind of slotted it out in your timeline, and do the thing. It's going to take a couple of months to do, but when you get there, as you approach it, that's when you start to take that and then break it down. And so you're kind of not creating this massive list of like hundreds of things to
Oh
do.
yeah, prioritize.
You're prioritizing the things that are right in front of you. Kind of like when you're planning your Dungeons and Dragons game or your TTRPG game, you're only planning for the next session. You're not planning for the next 15 of them because you don't know where your players are going to go. Well, your project is a little bit more predictable than players, but it might still have this kind of breakdown that
Yeah,
comes
do
comes
outlines
later.
first. Work on like fleshing out from the outlines. Don't bother doing all the monsters until you're like ready and done with everything else. So, because any details that changed or whatever, you haven't set anything in stone over there, so it's fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, after you got your process down anyway.
Definitely.
Not taking everything in all at once, doing stuff in like phases, keeping to the same themes. Like I like to do all the magic items at once. I don't want to have to jump around doing this type of content to that type of content to that type of content. I want to be in the right headspace for what I'm doing and not have to reorient myself. It's a waste of time
Hmm.
if I can avoid it.
I hope that answers your question, Chase. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, let us know. I
Yeah.
know you're here watching, so I hope that helps. Let's go to our next question.
Overcoming fear and anxiety.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a big one too.
Well, I mean,
Specifically when dealing with budgets, right?
yeah, how to overcome fear and anxiety when dealing with budget. Thank you again for a second chase question. Or second, I can use words. Second question, chase. So, like, if you're really, really afraid, have a bigger slack. I wouldn't slack. I don't think I've ever slacked bigger than maybe 15% of my budget is slack. So if I'm expecting that I require 10,000 or $1,000 to make this book, then I need $150 of slack. That's just like, oh no, stuff messes up.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go higher than 20% slack. If you're there, then maybe you just haven't done enough planning. Yeah, extend how much Slack budget you have. Certainly not more than a third, because at the end of the day, you will end up having money left over to make the book better. So, otherwise, what else would I use to get over fear and anxiety about budgeting? I mean, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
You'll feel better when you're done. You can refine it later. Having something is better than having nothing.
I'd be curious to know, Chase, if there are specific things about budgeting that maybe cause fear or anxiety for you, and maybe we can get more specific. But I kind of echo what Mike's saying, and maybe if if you haven't budgeted a project, start with a smaller budget, start with a smaller project. I would imagine that the amount of fear is proportional to the amount of budget that's on the line.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The bigger the budget, the more you're like, oh God, is that enough
exactly.
words? God, what is that's not enough words? Oh no. Yeah, no, no, no. Just yeah, you got to
Sounds
plan
good.
for the unknowns.
I didn't mean to call you out. I just wanted to make sure we were being helpful. Sorry, Chase. All right, next question is from Mila Grish. They ask, "What are the reasonable expectations for undertaking marketing and promotion when self-publishing your first project?"
Okay.
So I suppose reasonable expectations in the context of budgeting for those things, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Budgeting for them? I have not had good experience with marketing firms. I am very wary of them. I've been bitten twice. I know that they work well. I've seen them work well before. They've worked well for me once, but for the most part, I would just try to be organic about it. That's the start. You have to build a following, and like budgeting for that. I mean, I don't know. What do you I wouldn't recommend using Twitter and Google Ads. Usually, where you would spend the money for your like budgeting and ad space and stuff like that was Facebook. I stopped using Facebook like a year and a half, 2 years ago or something. I fear that I am not in a good position to answer this very well. But I will tell you that you will get better results just trying to be organic. Take your time, be dependent, keep showing up,
Yeah,
post for people not always at the same time of day. Not everybody's going to see it. Post, 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 post.
yeah, posting a lot, and Mila clarified that they were talking about kind of the social media outreach, do it yourself.
Yeah, plan on every couple hours popping on. That's what I generally try to do. Like every 2-3 hours, I go on, I look, I think if there's anything I gotta promote or talk about or whatever, and also just participate. Don't just go on to post. I'm also
Hmm.
not great about that, but like find at the worst you can find artwork that you like and comment and be like, hey, that's dope, and that is better than just going on and doing nothing or doing what I keep doing, which is posting like a million hashtags and the same link. Although you do have to keep posting the same link all the time. It's crazy. It's very frustrating. Just like power through.
Yeah, you got to post a lot.
Yeah.
You got to post a lot. Everybody that I've talked to seems to have more success with kind of creating their own grassroots communities, email lists, stuff like that. Like that tends to perform as far as like converting community to supporting a project. That tends to be the better way to do it because it's a genuine connection with the people of your community that you have. You're supporting their project and they're supporting yours back, and it kind of creates this ecosystem.
Also, I don't understand people making these like link trees and that's it. Have a website. Don't make it hard for people to find you and your stuff.
Hmm.
Like, if your name is not a registered domain name yet, I think it's like $20 a year or something, maybe 50 to get a WordPress site. Less than that, probably. Just have a easy to find place, independent of however they heard about you. They don't need to be on Blue Sky or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever. A place where they can come find you and contact you, independent of all the other social media. It's very much worth the investment.
Hmm.
It's
100%.
also a great place to display your stuff and to like really build up your mailing list. Like,
Totally, totally. Another question here from Chase. How does one find the balance between over planning and over structuring and just winging it? And I'd be curious to know for you, Mike, what's the right amount of planning for you?
I used to be much better about like I used to do pagination where like like I was saying you work out every single page and how much it's gonna be in your that's also I failed to mention it, but pagination's great for like not having a bunch of white guy artwork because that's almost always what you find with stock art and the default that a lot of illustrators end up going to. It's incredibly frustrating. Yeah, keeping like eye on gender balance and like what's the word? where you fairly show all the types of people and not just white dudes. Representation. It's important to have representation in
Yeah.
your artwork. And the pagination helps with that a lot. If you're like really, really worried about your budget, do pagination for your book. Figure out how many words you're gonna fit to a page and how much artwork you want in there, and you can figure out how many arts you're gonna have to order and work it all out there. And it's also great because if you're using like Drive-Thru RPG, which a lot of people do, like Lightning Source is the printer, there's a calculator you can use to figure out how much it's going to cost you to print a book. And I think the magic number is like 67 pages or so for a regular 8x5, like 11 A4 size book, like the one I pulled. One of these guys, like a school textbook size. I think
Hmm.
73 or 67, something like that. After that, the price jumps up. It jumps up quite a bit. So like there's where one of your hurdles is going to be. And after I want to say after 200 pages, it goes up again by a lot. So you can use the calculator on there. And a lot of other printers, if you're doing like an offset run, which not a first project thing, but if you are in the situation where you're like, oh crap, I got $20,000 from my Kickstarter, I can afford to do an offset run and save a bunch of money. Your printers will work with you and give you like calculation estimates. Be like, oh yeah, we think it'll cost this much to print this many copies at this page count, this paper weight, and there are a lot of options you can use to fiddle around. If you're worried about like overdoing it and over planning, do pagination. If you feel like you're going insane doing pagination, then try winging it a little bit. But yeah, usually if you're looking at a manuscript and you even just like, oh, I know I want to put art here, that'll give you an idea like how far you're gonna get, how much you got to order, and how much your budget needs to be.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Next, we've got a question from DJ Shepherd.
Oh, what's up, DJ?
DJ asks, what kind of goals do or did you set as a benchmark for pitching or looking for freelance projects? That's a really good question. Thanks, DJ.
Yeah, man, you got to hit the bricks. If you're just starting out, it is helpful to go to conventions. I have not had to go to a convention in many years, and I'm so happy I haven't had to because it's so stupid expensive to go to some of these.
Mm.
But yeah, you got to get your face in front of people. You got to get your name in front of people. It's harder these days to find pitch calls, I think. Like I feel like they used to be more common, but the rates have gone up too. So when you do land something, it's usually better than it was 5, 7 years ago. What kind of benchmarks? I mean, have a business card, even if you're just giving it to your friendly local game store or two people at the friendly local game store. That's better than just telling them your name that you write D&D books or whatever it is. Whatever RPGs you're making. I shouldn't be defaulting to D&D. That is the great sin. But yeah, so first benchmark, have a pitch or have a business card, and then past that, I mean, looking, just keep hitting the beat, man. That's the way to do it. Never stop looking, really.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And let's see. Do we have other questions in here?
Generally, it's probably better to have both a site for your project and a site for your name. I'm sorry, I should have allowed you to ask the question.
Mhm.
I'm a terrible person.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, you want people to be able to find the project. You want people to find you. They are not always necessarily the same people. Diverting the stream will be to your benefit. And you can always put your name on both and the name of the project on your website. You can cross streams a little bit. But yeah, I would do both unless you're in like a super tight situation. I think I got a couple websites at this point.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think that's all the questions we had in the chat there. We're kind of coming up to the end of our conversation, Mike. So why don't I throw the microphone back over to you before I start doing the kind of like wrap up conclusion stuff, and just to kind of any parting words that you might have for the audience and for listeners about setting creative goals and budgeting, and then of course if you have your own goals and your own projects that you want to kind of pitch and plug for the listeners, that would be an awesome chance for you to also do that.
Okay, yes. In both instances, I would recommend being pragmatic and pessimistic because it's easier to build up. It's easier to, if you're having creative goals, to like reach higher places by working your way up to it, hitting more pages per day or whatever it is. Oh yeah, I just figured out a hack the other week where I was like, why am I doing all these flow boxes? I can just copy a document, keep all the flow boxes, and then paste the manuscript into the already there flow boxes, and it's saved me hours and hours of layout time. And I've been doing this a long time. I should have known that much earlier. So yeah, being ambitious is good, and it will serve you well. But you will be better served in your budgets by being pragmatic and thinking you need more money than you will need, because then you will have money that you didn't expect at the end if you didn't need it, and you'll have an easier time achieving your creative goals if you don't make them well beyond your reach. So make them easy to get, and then push them further away to get to them, to get reach higher heights.
Awesome. Yeah. And then if people want to find you, find your work, and if there's anything you're working on, where can they do that? And I think Jess has posted some of your links already. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, I am MikeMyler.com. Find a whole bunch of stuff on there. There's all the characters from Mortal Kombat, a whole bunch of Street Fighters, crazy like rock and roll Muppet 5e Gonzo stuff. There's a lot of stuff on there. There's a lot of great stuff on my website. It's very fun. I'm also on the Blue Sky. I'm not totally sure how the Backer Kit store works, but you should be able to access the Backer Kit store for the complete class compendium, which has 12 new classes for 5e and level up 5th edition. They are very cool. My favorite is the Gemini, where you like have a it depends on what like class subclass archetype you take, but like you might have different powers at day and night, or you might sometimes be fearful and sometimes be like courageous or old and young, and like I just really love the like binary nature of it. And then they're like
Mm.
weird agile fighters who get like semi-real duplicates, and I don't know. And then right now, Mists of Akuma is on the bundle of holding. So if you like Eastern Fantasy Noir Steampunk, which I think everyone should because it's awesome, that's the best deal you'll ever find for it. Yeah, there's like I think it's $12 for the core book, which is like 400 pages. Is huge. There's like a 150 page section on the capital, and then 3 adventure paths for $12 or something like that. Or I don't know. It's awesome. Go check it out. It is an absurd amount of material for the asking price. And yeah, the next thing will be, I don't know. I'm working on the Meets Masterminds 4E conversion for HyperCore 2099, which is like, as you might think from 2099, about being a superhero in a cyberpunk future. But the licensing for that's not totally. They haven't released the details. I don't know, it's a long-term project. And then I have a book coming out relatively soon for Level Up called Into the Veil, which is a weird, think like Westworld in like a trapped Caribbean and also northern climate seas with like secret robots and an alien lich. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird nautical sailing thing. Yeah. And
Cool.
E-Insider Magazine is awesome. And we're about to release our 12th issue next month, which we have like 600 some articles beforehand, but we changed to a magazine format because Patreon had to like kowtow to Apple or something, and they can't do it the way they used to charge stuff, so it needs to be once a month. So yeah, we made the switch last year. And there will be an anthology for the Insider Magazine sometime this summer, I think, which will be dope.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here to talk to us and share your insights with all things related to setting objectives, setting goals, and a little bit of budgeting peppered in there as well. Lots of really solid advice. So if folks enjoyed this conversation, we'd love to encourage you to stick around in the TTRPG Rising Tide Discord community and to encourage other folks to join us as well. We're a community of TTRPG creatives, for creatives by creatives, and we're here to, share the love and share our insights with one another. And so thanks again for being here to talk to us, Mike, and please everybody go check out some of the awesome projects that he's got on the go, including the one on Backer Kit. When did you say that was coming down?
Well, so the project ended I think last week or the week before, and then the store ends the 28th, which I'm pretty sure people can put pre-orders in still. Anyway, I don't
Okay,
know.
cool.
It's my first Backer Kit. It's very surprisingly convoluted on the back end side of Backer Kit. Yeah, check it out. I'm pretty sure you can get it. If not, it'll be available from RPG Writer Workshop before the summer.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, go take a look, back it if you can, purchase it if you can, and I think that's everything for me. Stay tuned for future episodes of the TTRPG Rising Tide discussions like this one. We have one once a month, and myself and some of the folks in the community, the RT Talks command bunker, we've kind of plotted out the year's worth of material that we're hoping to release to really touch on topics that the community is hoping to hear about. So we'll get together again next month. Stay tuned for when that will be and who the guest will be. But it'll be another fun conversation like this one. And I guess with that, I've been Matt at roll_play_chat on all socials, and this has been another RT Talks. Remember, friends, rising tide lifts all boats. Bye, everybody.